First of all, why do we do guys read and gals read? It's because if you have a lifelong interest in reading for pleasure, your chances of being successful at school, at work, and in life generally are tremendously improved. As well as the fact that if you read regularly as a child and develop into a full-blown lifelong reader, your chances of developing Alzheimer's, the onset of Alzheimer's, is reduced by 10 years. And there's all sorts of other benefits too, being a lifelong reader. But it's a fact that most American boys stop reading for pleasure around 3rd or 4th grade. Many girls do too, but primarily it's the boys that stop reading for fun. And it's our goal to show them that some books are just pure fun. Things be a delight to read. Not everything you read is going to be a school assignment or a chore. There are going to be things that can be a lot of fun. And we also know that reluctant readers are drawn to graphic literature. That's why the things we read and present to the kids are heavily illustrated. Reading graphic literature really draws low-level readers because they can get the context of what's going on from the pictures, as well as the high-level readers just because they're pure fun. Also, graphic literature helps develop some of the basic underlying skills that are important to being able to read heavy-duty text that you have to comprehend. The program works in this way. It'll last 2 weeks. Each school gets 2 visits from a team of readers. With Guys Read, we try to have a different set of men at the school each time because we want to show the boys all these different role models of men who like to read because they don't have a lot of role models that are reading oftentimes in their lives. With the girls, the Gals Read program, they have the women that go in to read at the same school each time. And that's because the books they read are a little different and they're a little more involved because the girls' brains are evolving faster than the boys and they're more interested in sophisticated subjects that take 2 readings to get into. Our books, we're only going to read one time, we're only going to read the first part, and so we choose books that start really pretty fast and grab the boys' attention. There'll be a 2-person team usually. One of you will read, one will run the projector. You can switch off. It just, you work it out among yourselves how you want to do that. Because some guys really like to read, some guys really don't like to read, and we work it out one way or the other. You try to arrive about 15 minutes early at the school and sign in at the desk. And this gives you a chance to meet the partner that you're going to be reading with and work out who's going to read, who's going to project. You'll find the projector usually set up and running, but we have a cheat sheet that'll be with it so that you have to, that'll show you how to set up what and where. We'll go over that in just a little bit too as well. And also, that cheat sheet will be in a big, soft, green zippered bag. Also in that bag, you'll find 3 copies of each of the books. So for one of you to read one of them and one of them to project with the other one. But all 3 will stay there, and those are going to be checked out by the boys right after our program's over. You'll also, there will be bookmarks like these that have the information about the authors, other books they've written, and we'll be handing these out to the kids at the end of the program as well. But they'll be sorted, so that day's book will have its bookmarks in there too. So you'll be able to hand out those bookmarks to the boys. And the point of that is they're going to have fun with this program. We know that. This is our 14th year, and they've had a lot of fun over the 14 years. As a result, we've had very few disciplinary issues. There'll always be somebody from the school staff present during the presentations. But in our 14 years of doing this, we've read to about 12,000 kids. One time, one child's been asked to leave because of discipline. It's because we're at lunchtime, their butts are planted, their mouths are full, the books are fun, and it doesn't last a real long time, so they don't get antsy. So that's why there's so few discipline issues. But we also, at the end of the program, when they're checking their desk or they empty their backpack, this bookmark drops out and they have just a little short, brief moment of, yeah, that was fun. It reminds them again, they had fun today with books. Well, you'll also then check to make sure the camera is set up, like we said, and meet the school staff member that'll be present. If for any reason the school staff person leaves for a long time, after the program, let me know, because the school district really wants to know. There's always supposed to be somebody present, because we're visitors. We're not volunteers. We're not supposed to be left alone with the kids. And that's fine with us. But the school district's very concerned about that too. So if that, sometimes the librarian's usually who's working with you, but whoever it is on the school staff that if they have to leave to take a kid to the office or something, that's one thing. If they're gone for a couple of minutes, it's not bad. But if they're gone for the whole duration or for a long stretch, please let me know. That doesn't happen often, but every now and then. Now the bell's going to ring and the kids are going to show up. We've got a 30-minute lunchtime. It's going to take about 5 minutes for them to get their lunches and get to where we're reading. Almost always we're going to be in the library, but sometimes we're in a commons room or in a classroom. But generally it's in the library. But it takes a while to go get their lunches and to get there. And as they arrive, we tell them, if they get hot lunches from the school, they're always covered with a plastic film. So we tell them to go ahead and rip off those plastic films, because it's a fun thing to do throughout the rest of the reading. If you don't, just go And also we tell them to stay seated until we're through reading, because we don't want them to go up. It's another fun thing to walk in front of the projector while you're taking your garbage very slowly back and forth. So then then the kids are there, they're settled. You start the program. And this is how I do it and how many people do it. You just start saying, guys, I'm glad you could join us for the Guys Read program. We have a fun book to read today. My name's Greg, and I really like books and reading, which is a good thing because I'm a librarian. And if you're a librarian, you can buy any of the books you like. So in my library, we have books about battles and space travel and comic books. And this is my partner, Leon. And then Leon would give a few, why he likes books in a 1 or 2 sentence statement. And then we launch into it. The idea is we don't want to proselytize. We don't want to we only have 20 minutes. So we don't want to waste it, tell them how great books are. We want them to experience how great books are. And if there's ever an issue that you're not comfortable with in one of the books, let me know before the reading and we'll take care of that. We'll get somebody else to fill in for you. Or whether, I know we had one character years ago, one of the characters in the books was based off the Pogo comic strips. Albert, alligator that smoked cigars. Well, one of our readers felt very strongly about the detrimental effects of smoking and didn't want to promote smoking among the kids, and he wanted to give them a lecture about that. We said, well, no, that's not what we're here about. If you're uncomfortable with that, let's just go and read this other book at this school instead. And that's how we'll deal with it, because we don't have the time to give lectures on all these worthy subjects, but it's just, we're here to have fun with books. And that's the long and short of it. So, we read for 20 minutes, and that gives them 5 minutes to clean up and get back to their classroom. Usually, especially by this point in the program, they're pretty well aware of they need to clean up all their trash, and it's usually not a heavy-duty deal, but sometimes it's nice to help the librarian rearrange the furniture and things if we can possibly help to make, because they're really going out of their way to help us with this too. And it's also worth noting that all the elementary librarians have lost their aides. So the librarians this year, so now they're having to do all the shelving as well as doing programming for the kids. A lot's been dumped on them. So anything we can do to help, we want to do it. Now, like I said, we're only going to read the first part of each book, and then we're going to donate. 3 copies have been donated to each school library, and it's been our history for every year that we've done this. The Guys Read and Gals Read books are almost all of the 10 most popular books in the school for the year. They're going to be extremely popular, but only the 4th grade boys are going to be able to read the Guys Read books until they've all had a chance to read them. Then they open them up to the rest of the school. Mm-hmm. Same thing for the girls. That when the 4th grade Gals Read books will only be read by the gals until they have all had a chance to read them. And what you'll find at the end of the program, and like if you're in one of the libraries, for example, oftentimes there'll be drawings. Among the boys, I'll ask you to draw names out of a hat to see who gets the books first, or there'll be a list they go from. But the books are going to be very popular right off the bat. Like I said, as they're lined up, getting ready to go back to their, as soon as we get through reading and thank them for being such a good audience, then we get the bookmarks out, and as they're leaving, give each boy a bookmark to take with them. And then we help clean up and arrange the furniture, and that's how we've done that. Next, we'll look at how we project the books using the document camera. This is our document camera. And it's the one that's most commonly used in the schools. Every now and then they have a different one. And the technology is starting to age, so there's a couple schools that are using iPads, for example, but it's set up the same way. So with this one, you pull the armature up very carefully. You only lift it by the heavy base because these arms are pretty flimsy. Then you can telescope it out to get it out large enough and move this around. On the side here is the startup button. On the back is the power. This is the power cable, just to plug in. And we stick that in there. It's also worth noting that power cable that comes here. And sometimes this comes loose. So if sometimes you've started up and it won't work, check to make sure this is plugged in good and tight and the green light's on. Now on the back of it, this is where it's communicating with the projector. It's the blue connector, and it goes on the blue spot here, the blue female plug. And turn this around, and it plugs in here at this blue connector. You can trust me, it's blue. So blue to blue, blue to blue. Now the next thing is, this is the light source for the document camera. Sometimes, like in here, the ambient light's so strong you don't need this. And in fact, it can even cause a bit of a glare. But the way you adjust it is with this, there's a switch here. And right now it's set up to have the backlight, and it puts out these red dots down here to show you basically where it's going to be covering. You move it one notch over, it turns off this backlight, but it does the 4 dots if you want that. The next one over is the backlight without the 4 dots, and then the final setting is no backlight, no dots. Usually you're going to find it started up with the dots, but the dots aren't entirely accurate, so it's kind of an issue. But you can see now that that's angled at an odd angle. You turn this around to get it to the right setting. So you can adjust this to however you're setting. And if you're if you're the projectionist in your team, what you would do would be you would point at the pictures where you're reading, and as the other person's reading. That's a manga, so it goes backwards. Let's look at this House of Fear. And so this is how we would do it. Oh, in fact, that's one other thing we need to show. There's only one control button we really use on this camera, and that's this one, the autofocus. It's slightly blurry over there. We do this, and it tightens up the image as it goes. Just this one autofocus button. The only other thing to be aware of is sometimes you go to the school and the document camera's been used with a laptop by a teacher. So up here at the top, it has a button for PC, and if that's lit up, then it's only operating off the PC and it's not working off the document camera. So we want to do, the button next to it is camera. We push that and it, voila. So if I was reading this, let's get to a good part here. It would go, if I was the reader, and if I said to do this by myself, say, I'd say, get down, huh? Run, I'll cover you. And this one, they're battling snowmen with hot chocolate. And he goes, hiss. Dude, how'd you do that? Shh, I put hot chocolate in your squirt gun. Did you see the way they melted? That was so epic. Guys, I don't think we should high-five each other just yet. Anyway, you get that. That's how we show the boys where we're reading. Also, a good side effect of that is they can't see quite what's going to happen yet until you move your hand. But this one, we can just about get 2 pages in the book, but not quite. So to get both pages in, what we do is grab some nearby books, lift from the bottom, and jack the whole contraption up. So now 2 pages fit in there. So that's how you can, if you, or you could just go with 1 page and then do the next page. Also, you can tell this, see down at the bottom down here, there's quite a bit of glare. Sometimes the glare is up from lights that are above you or whatever. To get the glare off, you just move the book up slightly, and that moves the glare off, and then you put a couple of books underneath it and turn it that way. Also in the bags you should find a clipboard like this. And what that clipboard is there for is to do that very thing, to get a little bit of an angle or to make it a stronger angle to get the glare off if you need to. Most of the books we're using this time have pages that don't produce a glare. Okay, then the next thing is some basic facts about Guys Read. Like I said, it's our 14th year of programming. We read at all 18 local elementary public schools, and we've read to over 12,000 fourth graders. The program was created right here in Fairbanks by the public library staff, and it's won 2 national awards. And the program costs about $1,500 per school to do both Guys and Gals Read. And most of that money goes towards buying the books that we donate to the school library. And we raise that money locally from other organizations, businesses, nonprofits, service clubs. That's where we get the money for the program. Now let's go on into the books, and I'll describe this year's books for us.